In the previous study, and based on Revelation 16:13, 19:20, and 20:10, we learned that the beast coming up out of the earth is the collective false prophet, typifying our own deceptive heart. In the 7 things that are an abomination to God in Proverbs 6, the 6th is a false witness who speaks lies. Would this not be the false prophet? What did Jesus tell the religious leaders? You are of your father, the devil, and the desires of your father you want to do. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is a liar and the father of it. As harsh as it may seem, weren't the religious leaders of Jesus' time false prophets? I believe John 8:44 leaves little doubt about it. In the previous study, I also proposed that the image of the beast is the image of the man of dust, symbolic of the carnal mind or mind set on the flesh, which is enmity with God and man. This, of course, aligns with the 7 heads of the first beast, the image of the beast reflecting the same carnal essence as the beast of the sea. Our present reality seems to support this perspective. After all, the discord that prevails is simply the outward manifestation of an inward problem, is it not? Why do I see the various symbols in Revelation as typifying the inward elements such as spirit, mind, nature, carnality, and so on? Because Jesus said, the kingdom is within. The battlefield is the heart and mind. The turmoil across this planet is simply evidence of the turmoil inside of us. Just about every problem on this earth can be attributed to the pride in the heart and mind of man. Now, let's return to Revelation 14. Then a third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast in his image and receives his mark on his forehead or on his hand. Here we are, mark of the beast. Where do we first see it? In the same passages where we see the beast of the earth and its image. So this mark is associated with the false prophet. Here's what we're told about the mark. Also, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. First thing to consider is the phrase, it causes all to be marked. Right away, this tells us that the false prophet doesn't give the mark, but simply manages to get us to take it. And how does it do this? Through deception. No, not necessarily malicious intent, just the blind leading the blind. So, if false prophet, collectively speaking, causes us to be marked, then who gives the mark? I believe the answer lies in Genesis and the story of Cain and Abel. Here's my take. First of all, Cain and Abel were twins, but Cain was the firstborn. We're told that Cain was a tiller of the ground, while Abel was a keeper of sheep. Right away, we should note the contrast between the two. Cain, as a tiller of the ground, denotes our struggle with the mind of the flesh, while Abel, as a keeper of sheep, denotes our love for God and others. First, that which is natural, followed by that which is spiritual. As the story goes, both Cain and Abel brought offerings to the Lord, but Cain's was rejected. Why is this? Because Cain's offering was the fruit of the ground. In essence, this reflects the religious works of the flesh, which are unacceptable to the Lord. True worship is self-sacrifice. That is, to love God and others. As all of us know, Cain then killed his brother. Here's what follows. And he said, What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. So now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, It shall no longer yield its strength to you. A fugitive and a vagabond you shall be on the earth. On the surface, what we read here may not seem all that important, but beneath is some precious understanding. First of all, the Lord declares, "The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." Compare this to those in the fifth seal, who cried with a loud voice for God to judge and avenge their blood. This is not a cry against anyone, but for everyone. Friend, Abel's blood cried out to God for Cain. And so we read that the blood of Jesus Christ speaks better things than that of Abel. What was God's response? "Now you are cursed from the earth." Note the following from the Psalms. "You rebuke the proud, the cursed, who stray from your commandments." Now, think about this. What is the ground, if not our hearts, as Jesus taught in the parable of the sower? When we walk in pride, hearts will not yield its strength to us, for only self-sacrifice provides this strength. We are indeed fugitives and vagabonds, wandering without purpose, but the epitome of pride is an inward isolation that prevents us from loving God and others. Did God curse Cain? No, he did not, but he did rebuke him. Curse is pride, the excessive love of self. It breeds its own destruction. Did Cain stray from God's commandments? Of course he did. For even though God's law was not present in written form, it was present in Cain's conscience. What was Cain's response to God's rebuke? "My punishment is greater than I can bear. Surely you have driven me out this day from the face of the ground. I shall be hidden from your face. I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond on the earth, and it will happen that anyone who finds me will kill me." First of all, God did not drive out Cain as he declared. Our own pride does that to us. We reap what we sow. It is the element that hides God's face from us. "It will happen that anyone who finds me will kill me," said Cain. Friend, God was not talking about being found outwardly in a physical sense, but inwardly in a spiritual and psychological sense. Isn't that where guilt dwells? And who of us doesn't have some guilt regarding things we've said and done? But that, my friend, is the point of God's love and grace. The Lord's blood speaks better things than that of Abel, for it speaks for the whole world. So, what was God's solution to Cain's dilemma? "Whoever kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark on Cain, lest anyone finding him should kill him." First, vengeance. And the Lord is clear. Vengeance belongs to him. Secondly, sevenfold. No, not vengeance 7 times, but fullness. Vengeance that is commensurate to the crime. Third, and most important of all, and the Lord set a mark on Cain, lest anyone finding him should kill him. Here we are, a mark. This is the Hebrew transliteration oath, which Strong's defines as a signal, literal or figurative, as a flag, beacon, monument, omen, prodigy, and evidence. It is the same word rendered signs regarding the 2 great lights on the 4th day of creation, and token regarding the rainbow after the flood in Noah's day. Dear brother and sister, the 2 great lights, or sun and moon, are symbolic of the glory of God's 2 covenants, old and new, while the rainbow is the token or sign of a covenant. And my point? The mark God placed on Cain was not literal. Instead, it reflects the old covenant law of God that regulates such carnal actions as those of Cain. How do we know? Because it goes back to our word vengeance. God's vengeance or wrath is accomplished by his law. In other words, the law sets the standard by which God judges the natural, carnal man. And the Spirit, it judges by the law as well, but incorporates the sacrificial nature of our Father, which Paul labeled grace. I will stop here, but be sure to join me for the next study, for there is more to consider regarding the mark of the beast.